Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRFBets race of the day for Thursday, October the 25th. Race number 4 at the great race place Santa Anita. We're going 6.5 furlongs. It is an optional claiming event. It is a race. It's a bet you can play with DRFBets. We're kicking off the pick 6 with our race of the day at Santa Anita on Thursday. And if you play it with bets.drf.com, you get a 300% deposit match. Sign up now. Here's the field for race number 4. Again, kicking off the pick 6 at Santa Anita on Thursday. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order, beginning with a Bob Baffert trainee that's never been off the board. From 6 lifetime starts, that's the number 1, Looky Lou. But Looky Lou's kind of been stuck, Matt, in that mid to high 80s buyer range, and the buyer par for this level is 94.
Yeah, I think this one's going to need to step it up. I do find it interesting that they turn him back at this point. His most recent start was at a mile, 2 starts back a mile and a 16th, and then 3 starts back even at a mile. It kind of feels like they're trying to figure out where he stacks up. There is a little bit of ability, clearly, but you do have to wonder, after 5 consecutive races between 86 and 89 buyers, where's the forward move going to come from? And it's worth noting, he's going to be facing probably the best field he's ever faced in his career, going a distance that may or may not be what he wants. To me, this is just one of those instances where I'm going to fade Baffert, even though he's 8 for 19 at the meeting.
Beaten favorite last time out behind Ike Walker, who came back to run 3rd behind a Baffert-trained runner, Dabster, and the Harry F. Brubaker with an 88 buyer. But then Ike Walker came back and was beaten by El Huerfano, who we'll talk about in a little bit. The number 2 is Awesome Anywhere, and this horse looks like a really sharp claim for Jerry Hollendorfer. Took this one for $32,000. Immediately ran him for the non-winners of one other than last time out at Santa Anita, and this horse popped with a 92 buyer. Versatile running style, loves Santa Anita, and has won 50% of the starts. There's lots to like with this horse.
Yeah, he's a racehorse. He's won on dirt, he's won on synth. His only turf try didn't work very well, but that's neither here nor there. And like you say, Hollendorfer claimed him 2 back. He comes back most recently in that N1X. Really was very impressive, winning that day, earned that 92 buyer, highest last out in the field, or co-highest anyway. We'll find out if he handles that hike up to the N2X level, because again, he's going to be facing much better horses. But at the same time, how can I sit here and tell you that this horse is maybe up against it? He's arguably the fastest horse. He's in the best form, arguably, and you got great connections.
Our friends at Timeform US don't believe there's going to be a fast pace on tap in Thursday's race of the day. You notice by that blue bar, they feel that this race will favor horses on or near the early lead. So maybe the number 3 Street Vision, ridden by the aggressive Martin Pedrosa, will have a little bit of an advantage. Now, this horse was buyering in the low 90s in 3 starts for David Jacobson, was claimed away from Jacobson. The number went down, and in between the claim and the last race, the horse was listed as a vet scratch on August the 26th. Beaten by 3-year-old Lambo last time out in a good effort. I didn't think that field was that strong.
No, I mean, so far there have only been 2 horses to come back out of it, but boy, neither of them have run well, 57 and 26 buyers respectively. The interesting thing here, do you want to look at it and say he's going to get back to one of those races from 2, 3, or 4 starts back? Because if he does, I suppose there is a real scenario, if you believe the pace projector, where he just goes and wires the field. There's a part of me that wonders, 1, is he really this good? And 2, I understand there's no necessarily confirmed speed in here. I think there's a real scenario where they're going to line up, because many of them share the similar running style where they all have a little bit of versatility, but they like to be forward. I wouldn't be surprised at all if down the backside we're 4 deep and maybe you've got 1 or 2 horses sitting in just behind, hoping things go a little bit hotter than maybe it would look on paper.
And maybe one of those horses looking to come from off the pace is the number 4 Stone Hands, who, after running through his conditions earlier this year, was kind of thrown to the wolves by Doug O'Neill. Ran him in the San Carlos, ran him in the Bing Crosby. They dropped him in for 62.5 last time out, and he just caught a situation kind of like what this Timeform US pace projector has. There was no pace on display whatsoever. He didn't have much of a chance over that speed-friendly Del Mar racing surface, and I'm willing to kind of give him a mulligan for that one. He was claimed out of that race by John Sadler, and I know Sadler's a little cold right now, but this horse has the ability and the back figures to win a race like this, given the right scenario.
And I think to me anyway, there's a little bit more to this horse than just maybe meets the eye. I don't think he's necessarily totally a horse that needs to sit off the pace. Go back to the runs where he is in more reasonable company, where he's back in, let's say, this N2X level that he was successful at 4 starts back. He's a lot closer. He's only a length off of it. And the reason I think that he was as far back as he was 2 starts back is because guess what? Ransom the Moon and Roy H. and those kind of horses were in there. He's not as good as those, clearly. I also don't think he loved Del Mar. I think he's much better suited at Santa Anita. You'll note he's won 4 times, 3 times of those, 3 of those victories, I should say, came at Santa Anita. There's a part of me that thinks getting back here, like you say, the Sadler barn right now, a little bit on the chilly side, but I think he's a little bit more versatile than it would suggest. I think this is a good opportunity for a horse like this.
Let's talk about the Peter Miller train runners that complete the field. Captain Scotty won the first 2 races of his career by 12 1/4 lengths, and his first start at Santa Anita yielded a 99 Beyer speed figure. I wonder if he's lost his speed or if you can actually say there are excuses for his last 3 races. He was 2-1 in the Triple Bend against City of Light. Okay, something must have happened in that race because that preceded a long layoff. Then he came back off the layoff and he just didn't fire. I'm willing to give him that race because of the layoff. And then last time out at Los Al, if you want to say, well, you know, some horses just don't like Los Al, that's fine as well. This is a make or break race, in my opinion, for Captain Scotty. His 3rd start of the form cycle. He's coming out of a race where he dead heated with a horse that came back to win his next start, but he had to go up to Fresno to do it with an 85 Beyer. I'm expecting Captain Scotty to try to be forwardly placed here.
I was going to say, to me, with the 5-pound bug Figueroa aboard, to me anyway, you look at those first 2 starts, what's the common denominator? Obviously, the paces were a little bit on the slower side, according to Timeform US, but he was up there pushing the pace, if not outright on it. And the 3 most recent starts, he never got close to the pace. To me, this is an instance where you have one way to go. You try to clear off to the front. If he can't make the front, I think he may just be one of those horses that he doesn't run when he's not out there kind of dictating things. And now, look, that's not necessarily a positive, but I think there's a real scenario where you can look at him. If he's really the 5-1 on the morning line, I would be very, very intrigued with at least taking a chance with him, simply because you know on his best day he can run every bit as fast, if not faster, than some of these horses.
Formulator fact for the 6, El Huerfano. Peter Miller over the past 3 years with last out winning older runners cutting back from route to sprint, 45%, 8 of 11 in the money, and a big ROI, $7.61. We're going to take a look at our picks in this race, and the question with El Huerfano is, can he rate at a shorter distance? Because it's likely he's going to have to. He's mostly been known throughout his career as a middle distance speed type. He has won sprinting in the past, but you got to go a long way back to find that in your Formulator lifetime past performances. I'm interested in your thoughts on his last race. I liked it a lot. They dropped him down to this level. He took some heat early, pressing a long shot. That horse finished way behind. He made the lead 3 furlongs from out. He immediately took pressure from the favored Shiver Me Timbers, who went ahead of him, and El Huerfano just came right back to beat that horse. Now this is a different game going 6.5. I wonder what the price will be with Pratt aboard, but I'm willing to give this horse a little bit of a chance, especially if Captain Scotty goes out there and sets a legitimate pace. Maybe he can sit just off.
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn on that most recent start because I've always been a fan of this horse. I think actually in one of the graded stakes that we did way back, I picked him to try to wire a field. To me, he is more a mile and a 16th type where you just let him roll on the front and say, come and catch me. We know what his game is there. And his game as he was in that most recent start, I'm not going to take that away from him. I do look at it. Look, I've never been a huge fan of Shiver Me Timber, so the fact that he was able to push him away, I would hope so. El Huerfano is kind of that old blue-collar kind of type. I'll get into a fight and beat you. I'm going to be fascinated to see if he is as effective at this shorter distance. Now, I don't think he's going to be coming from that far out of it. I think he still has the ability to go 44 and change 45 to a half. But with Captain Scotty drawn just to the inside, I think his job is to try to clear off. I think El Huerfano, maybe he works out a perfect trip in here. Maybe he's a little bit on the wide side. I understand that's not going to be ideal, but I think he probably just pushes the pace, and you hope maybe either Captain Scotty can't run anymore, maybe El Huerfano on the turn back, he's going to have that bottom where some of these other horses, either coming off of a layoff or in less than stellar form, they're going to need one. I think he's interesting. Again, you got to let the price be your guide. If he takes money and goes off in that 5-2 range, I don't know how interested I am. And guess what? Even if he doesn't run all that well here, I wouldn't mind him next time out if they stretch him back out to the mile or mile and 16.
His last sprint Beyer, though, a 93, puts him right into the mix. I'm going to go 6-2. You like the 4 Stone Hands. You're expecting a faster pace scenario than what Timeform has. And again, this horse off the Sadler claim has faced good horses in his career. I think was up against it from a pace standpoint last time. And you go back to his spring form, certainly capable of running that Beyer par.
It's kind of the way that I look at it. And like I said, I also don't necessarily think that Del Mar is his favorite racing surface. Getting back to Santa Anita 8 times in the money from 10 lifetime starts, I think this is what he wants to do. And you brought up that piece that I talked about. I don't think it's going to be a blistering pace, but I think it could be a little bit more contentious early on than maybe the pace projector was suggesting. Again, Stonehands, I think he can be a little bit closer. I'm going to go 4-6.
4-6 for Matt, 6-2 for me in the DRFBets Thursday race of the day. Kicking off the Pick 6 at Santa Anita. Play it with a DRFBets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com. Receive a 300% deposit match. An approximate post time for race number 4 at the Great Race Place on Thursday, 2:30 Pacific. Good luck.